in a crystal ball, Jeremy, but I can't because you're ready for the game. You're going to get us ready as well. Why does this Jets offense think tonight's going to be different from those bad numbers we've seen?
Laura, the Jets offense trying to get spooky tonight. They believe they could finally hit that 30-point threshold they've been trying to get to all year. And part of it is what they've seen on film, I'm told, for the last few weeks. They've realized Davante Adams has gotten more attention from defenses than maybe they even thought because of the presence of Garrett Wilson. That's allowed Wilson to go off a little bit, had the 100-yard game last week. Now they believe defenses can't key on one or the other, and that both could maybe go off at the same time, brings balance for Aaron Rodgers. They also had some serious operation issues last week, a lot of trouble with the play clock. I'm told the Jets identified 5 different plays where either a receiver didn't know what to do, Aaron Rodgers took the play clock way too far down, or a player was injured, didn't get off the field in time. So they believe they'd address that behind the scenes, and they will clean that up. Also, a player to watch tonight, Mike Williams. The Jets have been open to trading Mike Williams. Williams is open to a trade himself, and there is interest. However, I'm told for this particular game, he's been in a good spot with the coaching staff. They had a good talk with him. They're trying to put all the trade rumors to bed for this game, and that he could be sort of a focal point to what they're doing tonight with Allen Lazard now out on injured reserve for 4 games. If they win and he's a big part of it, maybe they hold on to him.
That'd be interesting to see either way. A lot of different layers to this game, thanks to Jeremy Fowler. Now, the Jets offense hasn't been able to get things rolling with Aaron Rodgers. They rank 24th in points per game. They're the only team in the NFL who hasn't scored 25 points in a single game this season. That's wild. We're in week 8 or week 9, whatever we are. Rodgers' QBR and completion percentage each rank bottom 10 in the NFL. They're averaging the 4th fewest rush yards per carry. It's just been bad all around. And RC, we just heard Jeremy's report. What do you make of the Jets wideouts tonight?
Well, I think the one thing I want to focus on is Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson had the tough drop against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but you could see with the addition of Davante Adams, he's getting matchups he could take advantage of. That night it was Beanie Bishop, and we saw last week against Marcus Jones him go for over 100 yards. The way that they're utilizing him down the field, whether it be from slot fades or post corners, with throwing a little air under it, allowing him to catch the football, I believe this has pushed him to the forefront of this offense. And if I'm a guy like Aaron Rodgers, I'm looking at that matchup with Jalen Petrie of the Houston Texans, a guy who was originally a safety, and saying, how can I take advantage of Garrett Wilson in space against Jalen Petrie?
Hey, man, go put all them damn muscles up at the commercial break. All right?
Got 'em out
Listen,
today.
I'm going to the Jets.
And nowhere.
Biceps, man.
I want the Jets to do things that make sense, okay? And I went back and watched this past game against New England and just was frustrated a lot of the times with the decision making from an offensive standpoint, especially in a red area sequence. When you hear on 2nd and 1, you don't get it, okay? Cool. Davante Adams is matched up on Christian Gonzalez, and you try to throw a slant, and it is incomplete. And then you settle for a field goal on 4th and 1. Now, I know the thinking is that we going to go up by more than 3, or New England is going to have trouble offensively. But I'd like to see the New York Jets dig down deep and get 1 yard in that particular situation by handing the football off to Breece Hall. If it's any time to be generic right there and tell your offensive line to create something so you're running back and get 1 yard. It was a number of those situations and issues I had throughout that game. Hopefully they can get it fixed tonight to try to get back on the right track.
Mina, how do you expect that Texans defense to attack the Jets in this one?
They just have to keep playing exactly the way they have been. I personally think this is a huge mismatch. Texas defense is excellent against the run. I don't foresee the Jets having a ton of success on the ground. And then the pass rush, I mean, you want to talk about scary on Halloween. This is one of the most terrifying pass rushes in the NFL. When they only send 4, they have the highest sack rate in football, but it's not empty calorie sacks. They're also 2nd overall in pass rush wins. Something they've been doing a lot more this year, we've talked about it on the show, is blitzing. I expect to see a healthy dose of that against a Jets offense that has not been very good against the blitz. One of the plays that Ryan highlighted earlier, the deep corner to Garrett Wilson when he was lined up in the slot, that was against the blitz. And my feeling is the Jets have to have a plan for this blitz because they have DeMeco Ryans defense has been sending more pressure this year. I think they need to be aggressive. They need to target the middle of the field, which is the one area they're weak. They have to come up with some outlets for pressure because if not, it's going to be a long day at the office.
You said everything I was going to say.
Oh, man, what you gonna do?
Sorry.
I was going to say
Sorry.
15 screen and play action attempts. I totally agree. This is a bad matchup. I think you got to take shots down the field. Again, down the middle of the field, I wouldn't really throw at these corners that much. I really wouldn't throw at Petrie that much. I love that RC pointed out that matchup between potentially Garrett and him. You're going to have to take your shots down the middle of the field. I think you screen this team 6 to 8 times. I think there's another 8 or so play action passes. My concern is this. The one area that I think you want to try to attack in your pass game is the middle of the field. That is the area that the Jets will not throw the football right now. So that's where I kind of agree with Mina. Bad matchup. I'd also think this. You got to take advantage of the aggressive linebackers. They're downhill. Quick hitting play action's got to be a storyline. And I'd say this. I want to see Garrett not catch the ball with his chest. I love Garrett Wilson. I feel like there's a little bit of like, oh my gosh, don't drop this ball because Aaron Rodgers is throwing it to me. And he almost falls going to catch it just to secure the catch. Trust yourself. You're a great player. Pluck it out of the air. Go make something happen when you get it.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Jordan Love. Okay, so we saw him out at practice today. Bad weather out there, by the way, but he said he sees a realistic chance he can play Sunday in a huge game against the Lions, despite the fact that he didn't practice Wednesday. He didn't do much today, but Adam's saying it's trending toward him possibly playing, dealing with that groin injury. The Packers can still have confidence if they don't have Jordan Love, though, or even if he's not 100%. In 2 starts with Malik Willis under center, Green Bay went 2-0. They were still able to average 23 points per game, nearly the same amount of yards while turning the ball over less, actually. Despite having to use multiple quarterbacks, the Packers top 10 in the NFL in points, yards per play, total QBR. Dan, you said Matt LaFleur might be the coach of the year. How have they been able to do this?
Well, they mastered a formation known as 4-by-1. I think a lot of teams in the NFL are using it.
Yeah.
It's a trend this year. I think Green Bay does it the best. Number one, it gives them a numbers advantage consistently. 2, it creates space for them. 4-by-1, 4 people to the top of the formation. When they bring the back across, you leave 3 defenders up top. Now I have 5-on-5. So there's a 4-by-1 where they can run it back to that one-man side, which is known as the weak side. 4-by-1, you get that again. Now those 4 people pull 5 defenders up top. I create a ton of space to throw weak in the slant backside. So I have the weak side run game. I have the weak side pass game. Again, 4-by-1, 4 up top. Now I'm going to have a strong side run game. 2 defenders get stuck backside. I've got 3-on-3 front side. That's all we're trying to do offensively is make the numbers even. Weak side run, weak side pass. Strong side run. How about strong side pass? 4-by-1 up top. You pull the backer front side out. The backside backer is responsible. I've created a vacant space in the middle of the field, and there's another completion. I think the thing that gets lost in all of that is so easy and simple to operate. It is all about numbers. They create a numbers advantage, basic run. They create a numbers advantage, basic pass. They created a numbers advantage, basic run. They created a numbers advantage, basic pass. There's no trends, there's no tendencies, there's no tells, and it gets everybody in their offense involved. It's very simple to operate.
Is that why it's been so easy for Malik Willis to just come right in?
I think it's a massive reason why, outside of obviously good run game and whatnot, but that stuff is so simple to execute both as the quarterback and the auxiliary pieces.
I think so, Dan, that's a great point. I think the depth at the wide receiver position can sway Green Bay towards potentially having a chance to win this football game, especially with Detroit now. We've been talking for a few weeks since Aiden Hutchinson went out about the pass rush, and obviously that's got to be a big deal because, to your point, Dan, in those 4-by-1s, you find so many one-on-one situations with this deep wide receiver group, and they win. And I think Jordan Love, if he plays or if Malik Willis plays, the thing you have to avoid is obviously the turnover against Detroit, but also getting behind the sticks as well. We saw Aaron Glenn a little bit bring some pressure against Minnesota and paid for it a couple of times. So that 4-by-1 with Green Bay, but more importantly, if you can get Josh Jacobs out of the backfield, matched up man-to-man as Aaron Jones for the Minnesota Vikings had a good day against Detroit, but also these wide receivers, when they in man-to-man, Green Bay has to capitalize, and they are a big play threat team with this deep wide receiver group.
My concern if it's Willis is when he's played and played well, the run game has been so good, and Josh Jacobs not only injured, but this Detroit run defense is really strong. So if he's going to beat them, he's going to have to do what Marcus just said, which is he's going to have to beat the blitz, and you're going to have to get the ball to your playmakers versus Detroit's man coverage. And that is there, by the way. I mean, even last week in the beatdown against Tennessee, Mason Rudolph hit fades to both Wes Burkakine and Calvin Ridley deep downfield versus man coverage. As Marcus said, the Packers absolutely have playmakers who can win in man. Dobbs, Wicks, Tucker Kraft are going to get good matchups there. The Lions play a ton of base defense, by the way, so they'll get him on a linebacker at some point. It's all about the quarterback. Can you get the ball to them? Because I really believe this Packers skill group is good enough to win downfield.